2024 has been a great year to review stand mount speakers, from the surprising and engaging Veri-fi Audio Scouts to the airy KEF R3 Meta, and now a direct competitor, the Buchardt S400 MKiis. Stick around and find out how they measure up in a small space. Hi everyone, Mark from Audio Pursuit, and in this video we're going to delve into the Danish speaker with the New World sound, the Buchardt S400 MKii. I received these speakers for review after an email exchange with Mads, the proprietor of Buchardt Audio. I did not receive financial compensation in any form for this review, nor did anyone at Buchardt see the video prior to going live on YouTube. In the past few years, waveguide technology has come to the forefront of speaker design with regards to the tweeter. The S400s are the most obvious example of this technology. The 0.76 dome tweeter, surrounded by this substantial aluminum cone, for lack of a better word, is the guide that spreads out the high frequencies equal in all directions from the cabinet. Interestingly, Mads informed me that the waveguide was designed with the help of the Klippel NFS acoustic measuring equipment. The tweeter and the waveguide is mounted below the 6-inch paper cone driver for the mid and upper bass frequencies. The other noticeable part of the design facing the listener is that the cabinet leans slightly backwards. The angle is not obvious unless you really look while in the listening position. For a size perspective, with a bottle of Chianti from the medieval city of San Gimignano in Tuscany, you can see that this is a very compact stand mount speaker. On the back side of the speaker is an oval-shaped 5 by 8-inch passive radiator instead of a port. Now, in my youth, I experienced a passive radiator as an owner of the Polk Audio Monitor 10Bs. Therefore, in all honesty, I have a slight bias in favor of this design over ports, as the air motion is pushed through to move the passive radiator, creating the bass frequencies. A high-quality set of 5-way binding posts that are mounted slightly wider than normal complete the back panel. The cabinets are very solidly constructed, with several choices of veneer finishes: a light oak, a rosewood, and this walnut, along with a black or white lacquer. Compared to the original S400, the MKii cabinet is slightly larger. In talking with the designer Mads, this was done to eliminate a bass resonance hump. Unlike the KEF R3 Meta, the S400 MKiis can be brought out much farther into the listening space and maintain a solid bass impact. Sitting on a set of stand-filled 24-inch Celestion SI stands with an extra inch of height provided by a piece of solid oak as suggested by Mads Buchardt, I found that my 11 by 10 foot room, some 26 inches out from the front wall, with approximately the same distance in from the side walls and a toe-in just outside my shoulders, hit the sweet spot in my listening space. This amount of toe-in was confirmed during my write-up period by watching Aaron Hardison of Aaron's Audio Corner in his review, based upon his measurements from his Klippel testing equipment. During the 70+ hours of review time with the S400s, they were powered by, first, the Emerald Physics 600.2 SE Class D amplifier that has a tube in each channel of the preamp stage, with an incredible output of 750 watts per channel into 4 ohms. With GAN Class D technology, the Peachtree GAN 400 was employed at 400 watts per channel at 4 ohms. Then came the Vista Audio i34 integrated vacuum tube amplifier at 35 watts per channel. And finally, for the last month of the review, the Gallion TS A75 solid-state power amplifier with 100 watts per channel into 4 ohms. This was the magical match of the four between the rich detailed bass, very natural, slightly warm mid-range, and a smooth top end. The combination created, in all honesty, the finest sound I've ever experienced in this listening space. With all four amplifiers, the S400s provided room-anchoring gravitas, smoothness, a wide soundstage, and natural, effortless highs. Interestingly, the speakers pull the instruments out both toward the listener and back as well towards the wall, creating a very deep soundstage. In my experiences, they revealed so much of the music in ways that I haven't connected to previously. There is something about getting a true three-dimensional soundstage that makes the listener want to both lean towards the speaker, but at the same time, sit back, marvel, and get lost in the music. About 4 to 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to hear an original pair of the S400s. The bass response was mind-boggling for their size, and that became the calling card for the brand. Since then, other models have appeared. With the Mark II edition, the S400s have an entirely new crossover. As you can see, the parts quality is obviously using Jansen, MyFlex, and Superiors. The difference is quite obvious when you look at the photos. If interested, check out my friend Sean Fowler with his Zero Fidelities YouTube video, as he has both the original S400 as well as the Mark II model during filming, and provides excellent insight into the improvements of the Mark II. Now, one of my favorite tracks to test bass is the Beatles' Come Together. Paul McCartney's bass guitar, along with Ringo's foot-tapping bass drum, is a definite test of how well a speaker can provide the low frequencies. The details and texture that the S400s deliver, I believe, is most likely due to the passive radiator with the adjustment weights that are attached to the back of the oval casket. This allows for tuning the best match for the cabinet and drivers. Various independent tests show the roll-off really hitting at about 50 Hertz, while there is still some usable frequency response down to the rated 33 Hertz. In my small space, while a subwoofer is nice, it is not needed by any means with the S400 Mark IIs. As I've stated many times, and from learning over and over during my time writing for Tone Audio, the magic is in the mid-range. And to Mads Buchardt's credit, the MK2s really offer a sultry, open mid-range. Take Jesse Colin Young's classic, Before You Came. While a nice touch of softness rounds the edge of his and other male vocals, there is ample detail. For those that want a bit more lift in male vocals, with the help of the WIM Ultra's EQ, I fooled around and boosted it up 1 dB around 500 Hertz. While the very subtle difference didn't change my impression, a neighbor liked it, proving once again that people hear differently and you should follow what you find most pleasing. Listening to Sting's vocals in Wrapped Around Your Finger from the Police's Synchronicity album, the raspiness comes through clearly. Female vocals, being slightly higher on the frequency scale, appear to be dead center based upon various independent measurements. Now maybe it's the natural sound of the gender, but the slightly recessed frequencies are not needed at this point. Proper warmth and tone is met right at the center point. Listening to Karen Carpenter's unknown gem, Crescent Noon, the purity of her vocals in a slightly lower than normal register for her is stunning. Considering the recording is over 50 years old, to hear her performance truly raised my eyebrows. Do yourself a favor and look it up on your favorite streaming service. The harmonies of the Indigo Girls help to define the quality of the crossover in the S400 Mark IIs. The ladies each have a very distinctive sound, so even when blending with their continuous harmonies, the individual differences are easily spotted. It is a good test of whether this or any speaker is up to the challenge of showing both, thus taking the next step in true sound quality. The track Watershed in some ways shows this best, as an up-tempo and acoustic, yet shows vocal emphasis of power, followed by moments in the chorus of soft duet, and that really shines with the S400 Mark IIs. Where the S400 Mark IIs especially shined was paired with the Gallion TS A70 amplifier, and with recordings that avoided the loudness wars, as well as the over-engineering in the mixing process that sometimes occurs. Acoustic folk groups like the Milk Carton Kids just shine through these speakers, with the most impressive track being the song Younger Years. Take a listen and you'll hear with the speakers the incredible separation between the instruments and vocals. There is a beauty in simple recordings, and the S400 Mark IIs flush it out in ways that only true quality designs can provide. The KEF R3 Metas couldn't find the separation or resonance at this level, even though they threw a slightly wider soundstage. The three-dimensionality just didn't rise to the level of the S400 Mark IIs. Interestingly, just before watching his video, I received the Audio Sound Craftsman Laval speakers, which are stand mount as well, very much in the vein of the GR Research XLS, with its tight driver placement and crossover design. In comparing the two speakers, the Lavals are a quieter speaker, which is to say you don't hear the hiss in the upper frequencies, whereas the Buchardt S400s you do. Well, it turns out, in Aaron's measurements, there is a slight rise about 2 to 3 dB starting about 7 kilohertz with the S400 Mark IIs. Now, if you have an equalizer or through the software, such as in my WIM Ultra, you can have some fun. I decided to knock that frequency down a bit. Sure enough, that lessened the hiss. So if you're a person that is not a fan of hiss or doesn't mind using the EQ to find your personal auditory nirvana, that is an option. But for me, I'll stick with the S400 Mark II's factory sound. The Buchardt S400 Mark II's best quality is that they are in no way genre limited. It didn't matter if I was listening to the great classical symphonic masterpieces, Lucinda Williams' Texas rock, Dave Grusin's joyful jazz, or Garth Brooks' honky-tonk country. In addition to other rock, the S400 Mark IIs never sounded anything less than exceptional. While they are built to play at earbleed levels, they'll play loud and clear enough to keep virtually every listener happy. The Danish design, Indonesian-built Buchardt S400 Mark IIs at $2,250 shipped have completely and totally justified my selling of the KEF R3 Metas that I bought some 6 months ago. They have a rooted full-spectrum gravitas with bass response that the R3 Metas just can't match. There's a warmth, mid-range, and an easy, natural, yet open top end. Mads Buchardt has tapped into something special. Therefore, I'm going to state that when it comes to the R3 Meta versus the Buchardt S400 Mark II debate, I fall comfortably in the S400 camp. Not only did they hit all areas that I love, but the S400 Mark IIs go one step farther. They absolutely grab my soul. And that is something each of us audiophiles or fanatics or fans understand is the ultimate goal. Because without the emotional connection, there is always something missing. Don't be surprised the S400 Mark IIs become my reference stand mount speaker by spring. Thanks for watching, everybody, and remember, turn off the social media for a while, turn up the music, and enjoy. Take care.